Hello everybody, I hope all of you are doing good today. Over the past few days I've been mulling over some numbers in my head and looking at some stats that I would like to share with you. Before I get started though, I just want to say that I'm not making this upload to start a debate. You know, I'm not trying to start anything about wearing a mask or not wearing a mask or lockdowns and social distancing and all that. I'm simply showing some numbers, and I actually have a question that I'm going to ask you, because it's a question that I don't know the answer to, and I hope maybe someone out there can give me the answer. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, and I don't claim to be a genius, but there's one thing that I do believe in, and that's having an open mind. And there's one thing that I don't do, and that's I don't swallow everything that the mainstream media gives me. I just don't do it. And I've been that way for years now. It's not just because of this COVID thing. Now let's get to some numbers, okay? The Philippines has a population of 110 million people, and the United States has 331 million people. So the Philippines has approximately 1/3 the population of the United States. The number of COVID-19 deaths in the Philippines is 9,230. So out of 110 million people in the Philippines, 0.00909090909091% of the population has died due to COVID-19 in the year 2020. Remember, the United States has 3 times the population of the Philippines. It has 331 million people. Now, here's where I get a little bit confused, because the number of COVID-19 deaths in the United States in 2020 was 341,000. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are already thinking. You're already thinking, well, that's just because the United States was being ignorant and they weren't social distancing and they weren't wearing masks and things like that. And I'm going to talk about that later, but first I want to get into these numbers a little bit deeper. So the United States has 3 times the population of the Philippines. All right, so what I did was I just multiplied the number of deaths due to COVID-19 in the Philippines in the year 2020. I multiplied that by 3, and my number came out to 27,690. That is nowhere close to the 341,000 deaths recorded in the United States. And again, I know a lot of people are going to say that's because the United States was being ignorant, they weren't social distancing and weren't wearing masks and all this. But this right here is social distancing in the Philippines. Okay, this is just a regular day of having to go to the market here in the Philippines. All right, and you have to remember, in the Philippines too, we have wet markets. The food is not refrigerated, so you have exposed pork, exposed chicken, exposed fish. You know, that's where you get your food, okay? Things in the Philippines are not like they are in America, okay? Whenever I first came here, my eyes got open to a lot of things. And first of all, sanitation, the way things are sanitized is nothing like it is in America, okay? I love the Philippines, and I'm not saying this to try to make the Philippines sound bad. That's just the way it is. And that's the way it is in all of the developing countries around the world. Something just doesn't make sense to me, and I hope one of you guys out there can have the answer to what's going on. Why the discrepancy in the numbers? Why is there such a big difference in the death count? When according to the way things are here in the Philippines, our death count should be as much or more than you guys. Now I want to give you one more stat. And this stat that I'm going to give you is pre-COVID-19, okay? The annual number of people who starve to death in the Philippines every year is 580,000 people. That is 1,600 people a day that die in the Philippines every day due to starvation. And that was before these lockdowns and people started losing their jobs and had no way to feed themselves. So you can imagine the numbers, what the numbers are now. I tried to find those numbers on the internet, and good old Google won't let me find them. They have shut the world down. They have shut this country down and restricted travel because 0.0090990909090901% of the population has died due to COVID-19. Now, I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but it seems to me that if it were our lives that they were worried about, then I believe stopping world hunger should be their number one priority. Anyways, just wanted to share that info with you. I hope you guys have a blessed 2021, and I hope that common sense will prevail. I love you all. God bless.